Now, reform policies introduced by the British. Before going to the reform policies, we learned in the second last slide that there were rumors. What were the rumors? So we'll see this in the later slides as well when we learn about Mangal Pandey and how the uprising began. But these rumors were also associated somehow with their religion and the feeling that they already wanted to rebel. Now, how these rumors that infuriated and caused a spark, we'll learn in the later slides. Reform policies introduced by the British. Now, all of the people, they were affected. The zamindars, the nawabs were affected, then the peasants were affected, the sepoys were affected. Now, how the people in general, the subjects, the people of India were affected in general. The policies that were introduced by the Britishers, they saw them as infringement. They saw them as an alien subordination towards them, as an alien laws that is being coerced to them, that is being that is just stripping away their religious faiths and beliefs. How? Abolition of sati and remarriage of widows. So that time that time sati was so prevalent that mostly all the people, all the widows, widows that husbands of whose were dead, they were supposed to get sati, and widows were not supposed to remarry. The societal norms did not allow the widows to marry. But the Britishers, when they came here, of course, with the help of the reformers such as Raja Ram Mohan Roy and other reformers, we learn this about in later chapter. With the help of the reformers and with their own humanity, these Britishers, they, in good faith, they abolished these laws. They abolished the sati and they allowed widow remarriage. Of course, it was done in a very humanitarian form. But then these people who were very keen on observing their religious belief, they did not take this very well. It did not go well with their throat. So, of course, they were against this. Now, the promotion of English language education. In order to avoid the language barriers and in order to have more swift way to talk to the Indians and understand their situation, understand their policies, and of course to make them understand their English language so that they could have an easy way. Now, how the promotion of English language education, it created a refusal policy in the minds of the native Indians. They were very comfortable with their own languages and it was easy to communicate with their own language. Of course, the Britishers, they wanted a swift way to communicate with the Indians. And rather than learning their own language, some of the Britishers were exceptions. They wanted to learn the language of India as well. But most of the Britishers, most of the British East India Company officials, they were more keen on people making their language understandable by the Indian people. So they wanted to impose this English language on these people so that their communication would have no gap and these Indian people would understand what these Britishers, they wanted to communicate. Of course, they had another motive. They also thought that they came with a moral responsibility in India, that the Indian people were not civilized in the way that the British people were. They were not very modern, and they wanted these people to have to follow the path of modernity, to follow the path that the Europeans have followed under their domination, under their supervision. So they granted themselves, they assumed themselves a moral stature that they were here not just to administer and not just to rule the people of India, but also they had this moral responsibility to teach India a proper way, a proper path to modern civilization, a proper path to becoming a civilized like European countries. So that was also there. Promotion of English language was at a very large scale. Now, in 1830, missionaries were allowed to function freely and own land and property. Initially, they were not, the English East India Company, they were not very keen on associating with the missionaries because they wanted to, be seen as not some kind of ruler who was trying to interfere with the religious beliefs of the people, because from now they had seen that people of India, they had this very keen religious beliefs and they wanted to stick to that. So initially they were not very interested in doing this, but by 1830s they allowed this freely. So even when the Queen Victoria, even when the crown assumed the responsibility, the crown assumed the rule of India, the colonial rule of India, they were also very reluctant in recognizing the rights of these Christian missionaries in forcing the people to change into Christianity, because they did not want to meddle with the religious beliefs of the people. But these East India Company officials, they allowed these Christian missionaries to function freely and own land and property also. In 1850, they also passed a law linking conversion to Christianity and property inheritance. So basically, the person who chose to be converted to Christian were allowed to inherit the property of their fathers and grandfathers, and other people, they were not. In the religious faith of the people, if you convert to some other religion, you were just stripped off of your property rights. But this law, it allowed conversion, and it recognized the conversion to Christianity, and it also granted them rights that, okay, if you convert to Christianity, you will have this right for sure. So that was, of course, people saw that as meddling with their religious beliefs and affairs, and they did not like that at all. Let's see what happened next. Now a mutiny becomes a popular rebellion. How the mutiny which happened with the sepoys initially became a popular rebellion, so that the whole mass could be mobilized into actively participating in this kind of rebellion. The wars between kings and the subjects, the disagreement between kings and the subjects happened all over the time. But how this became a mutiny, how this came to a certain point where the people, they actually wanted to rebel. Let's see how this went. The mutiny of 1857. It started in May 1857, where sepoys mutinied all over the India, starting from Meerut, in one of the biggest armed rebellions of the 19th century. So this was, of course, one of the biggest armed rebellion of the 19th century. The Britishers, they were not at all expecting this. And it started from the camps. It started from the military camps. The sepoys were involved in this first. How the sepoys became involved in this? From Meerut to Delhi, the hanging of Mangal Pandey in Barakpur on 8th of April 1857 led to a mutiny by regiment in Meerut, refusing to use the new cartridges of the Enfield rifle. Now the Britishers, they wanted to introduce modernized kinds of arms and ammunitions, and it came with a new kind of rifle that had this cartridge. The rumors fare across. Of course, we do not know. Right now, we can only assume that maybe it was a rumor, maybe it was true, but none of the historical texts, they prove that whether it was true or it was just a rumor. Let's assume that it was a rumor, because now we just want to believe that, okay, they had this feeling of rebellion in them for a very long time now, and this just created a spark. So on that hypothesis, let's just move on, that these people, they thought, the rumors spread across by people to people, that these cartridges, the cartridges of the rifle, were coated with the fat of animal, cow and pig. So if we know about some of the religious beliefs of Hindu and Muslim people, it is absolutely certain that the Hindus regarded cow as their very religious and sacred icon. They were not supposed to eat or have anything to do with killing with a cow. And the Muslims, they did not regard the pigs as very religious, and they did not consume pigs at all. So basically, pigs were not a very good and sacred animal in their eyes, and they were not supposed to consume pigs at any cost. It was against their religious beliefs. So pigs and cows, both fat of both these animals were there in the cartridges. Now, if you may think logically here, it might seem to you that, okay, this was a rumor, because how could it be possible that the cartridges are coated with the fats of both the animals that was associated with the majority of the religion that was there in India, not any other animal, but only those two animals which is there associating with the religious faith, religious beliefs of the two majority of the people who were there in the army, the British army. So of course, with this point of view, with a rational point of view, you might think that this was just a rumor which was spread across, because the feeling of mutiny was already being built up in them. So they just needed a spark, and this created a spark. So all these people, they refused. So before firing the cartridge, you have to just tear it off with your teeth. And if you tear it off, you will of course have to taste. So they were not supposed to do that. They refused. And Mangal Pandey, when he refused, he obviously got in fight with the two British soldiers, and he was hanged on 8th of April 1857. This was seen as a sign. This created a spark amongst the soldiers, and 85 soldiers further, after the death of Mangal Pandey in May, they refused to obey the orders of the English East India Company, and they refused to have anything to do with the cartridges, and they were imprisoned for 10 years. Now, role of Bahadur Shah Zafar. Before coming on to the role of Bahadur Shah Zafar, what happened to these soldiers who were sent to the prison? They mobilized into a group. They went to the prison, and they freed all the prisoners that were already there. They freed all the Indian prisoners that were there in the camp. They mobilized all these people. They revolted in the Meerut. They accumulated the arms in the cartridges, and not cartridges. They accumulated all the arms, and they started fire in all the cantonment areas of the British in Meerut. Now they just thought that, okay, if we do not obey the British order, if we are not seeing the Britishers as our king, as our crown, then who are we going to make king? Who is going to be our leader? Under whose name are we going to have a mutiny? Under whose name we are going to have a rebellion? So of course they had a clear answer. They wanted Bahadur Shah Zafar to be their leader. They wanted to fight in his name, because still he was, even though he did not have that much of military power and control over all these areas, he was still seen as a respected ruler of the Mughal Empire. So he had this kind of title that was associated with him, which was still respected throughout the India. So they wanted Bahadur Shah Zafar to be their leader in this rebellion. The sepoys of Meerut, they gathered around the Red Fort in Delhi to demanded that they should meet Bahadur Shah Zafar very instantly. Bahadur Shah Zafar, he was of very old age, he was weak, and he knew that he did not have the power to rebel against these Britishers. He could not help them in any way. But these soldiers, they were very adamant that no, you should be our leader, and only you can, make us together and mobilize us, and under your name only we want to fight against the Britishers. You will be installed as king after we take over hold the territory from the Britishers. Bahadur Shah Zafar, although very reluctant at first, he signed letters. He wrote letters to all the kingdoms, and all the kingdoms, he wrote that we should, organize a confederacy under which only we should rebel. If you want to rebel, then we should rebel and organize a confederacy, and then we should all just associate and actively participate in this war against the Britishers, because they have been exploiting us. Now, this was only a symbolic gesture, but this symbolic gesture proved to be the fire behind the rebellion that took place in 1857, because all these people now had a aim. They now had a path, a clear path, that some Mughal who is a Mughal ruler, he is calling us to take part in this rebellion along with the sepoys who were there, and we should of course be a part of that, because we don't want to be exploited anymore. Even the zamindars, they thought that, okay, if British is going to be there, then we are going to be subjugated. We will not have any power or any authority over our lands or our military. But if we continue to have Bahadur Shah Zafar as our emperor, then we would be free to, have control and authority over our own lands. So they were also supportive of this. All these people, they came under one umbrella head, and that umbrella head was only symbolic, but it came from Bahadur Shah Zafar. That is the only gesture of Bahadur Shah Zafar, and that is appreciated in this 1857. Now let's have a question. Why did the Mughal emperor agree to support the rebels? What assessment might he have made before accepting Sepoy's order? We know now that he was very reluctant at first because of the old age, and he know that he did not have the capability or the military strength to fight the British soldiers. But these soldiers, when they went there, they tried to convince him that we are there, all the people were to be mobilized, and all the people are feeling this resentment. So it is not that you are alone and you do not have the power. You will have the power if you unite us under one wing. So after this, he must have thought, the Bahadur Shah Zafar must have thought, he must have made the assessment. We are just taking this as hypothesis that, okay, if they succeed, we are going to win and I'll be installed as king. There's no harm in that. But if they do not, nobody thinks about if they do not succeed. They thought that if he can do this one role to mobilize all these people, if he can do this one role, if he can write the letter and urging people to organize a confederacy, then of course he would also have a role to play, and not just, then he would of course, then he did not have to play a major, he did not have anything to play a major role in the mutiny. But of course, when he would have thought that, okay, I can play this small role which could bring all the people under my umbrella only, and they could, fight in my name, then what is the problem in that? So he might have thought of this, and of course, he might have agreed on this. There could be another reasons as well. The rebellion spread. Now, these people, of course, there were not any telegram during that time. So these letters, they had to be taken personally to all those rulers which were there, having this rebellious feelings in themselves from a very earlier stage only. So it took a week, and in this time, they were very peaceful. The sepoys, they were very peaceful because they wanted to accumulate all the people with them to fight in their rebellion. So within this time, they were very, very peaceful. Now, spurt of mutinies began when these rulers, these nawabs, they had this letter. When they read the letter, of course, they wanted to be a part of this. Near Kanpur, Nana Sahib declared himself as the Peshwa. He disobeyed all the English authority, and he took up arms, and he just made the English soldiers go away. He just emptied his whatever the camps were there. He emptied this, he took arms, and he started open rebellion. And governor under Bahadur Shah Zafar. He claimed himself as a Peshwa and a governor under Bahadur Shah Zafar. So we all know that how Bahadur Shah Zafar name was taken as the emperor, because they wanted to form a single confederacy under which they wanted to fight. How the rebellion spread further. Birjis Qadir and his mother Begum Hazrat Mahal, as well as Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi, alongside Nana Sahib's general Tatya Tope, joined the mutiny. Now we have seen that Awadh, how the king of Awadh, he was just stripped away of his powers as a king because on the charges of the misgovernance. Now people of the Awadh, they were enraged by this, and Birjis Qadir, he claimed himself as the king of the Awadh, along with his mother Begum Hazrat Mahal, who also proved a very great help in mobilizing all the people of Awadh against the Britishers in joining the rebellion. As well as Rani Lakshmi Bai, she was also a victim of this doctrine of lapse, because of which she was also enraged in this rebellion, this feeling of rebellion. And Nana Sahib's general Tatya Tope, they all came together and joined the mutiny in their own ways. They were not accumulated or accommodated in a certain place. Rather, they started this mutiny in their own places. So that is how the mutiny started. We'll see that what implications did this starting mutiny at your own places had. This is a picture of Begum Hazrat Mahal, the warrior Begum of Awadh. She had a very huge role to play in the mutiny. Ahmadullah Shah of Faizabad, he also had a very huge role to play, because now he started making making people think that all the rulers, they have this rule for only 100 years. So this rumor, it spread very quickly, and people, they started believing that, okay, all the rulers, they stayed only for 100 years, and now 100 years of the Britishers has completed after the Battle of Plassey, which happened in, we all know, 1757. So they thought that, okay, 100 years have passed, and now it is time that people, this was also the thought which, people after this rebellion also, when we had our independence war, that time also people, they started believing this. But this time they were very sure that English was not going to, stick to this place, and we could, overthrow them. So Ahmadullah Shah had a great role in, making people believe that English were not going to, he prophesied this, that he said that this is the word of God, that English, they are not going to sustain in this place for long. Bakht Khan, he started the rebellion from Bareilly, and Kunwar Singh, he was a zamindar from Bihar. He started mobilizing people to form rebel in his own places. Now we have to notice, while you read chapters in history, you have to notice the implications of each events of the history. You might not seem to, connect these things with what happened if we win or lose, but you have to connect the dots. Now here the people, they are all taking part in the rebellion from their own places. They are not meeting at some place and, taking rebellion all, at some one place. They were all taking rebellion from their own places. They were all attacking Britishers from their place only. Now the company, it fights back. Of course, the company was not going to keep mum on everything. They did not expected that this kind of rebellion could happen, because of course they were enjoying the prosperity of life, that the Indian people, okay, they are subjugating to our policies and they are just living under our umbrella so peacefully. So they were not even expecting these mutinies to happen. What they thought was the Indian soldiers, they are defected from this, but they would sooner or later they would come back, or they would just go to their own families, and sometime later they would recruit another soldiers. So they did not thought that this kind of rebellion could take place. How did they fight back? Let's see. The company fights back. Now, Delhi, it all started from Delhi. They all soon came to know that it was the rebellion was there under the name of Bahadur Shah Zafar. So, of course, they wanted to crush the rebellion at the place of origin itself, where where Bahadur Shah Zafar was situated. So, recapturing of Delhi became a prime motive for them, and they went on to recapture Delhi, and they were successful in recapturing Delhi in September 1857. Bahadur Shah Zafar, along with his wife, was sent to prison in Rangoon. He died after a few years, and his sons were there. His sons were shot dead in front of his eyes. So that marked the end of the Mughal dynasty. They proclaimed that the Mughal dynasty would not be regarded as the emperor, and now they would hold control over the Indian territory. The Britishers also were they were also very clear that they would not be able to win this rebellion. They would not be able to crush this rebellion on their own. So they brought reinforcements from England. They were very, very sure that they needed more military power, because of course their own military subjects were also defected. The sepoys were there. So basically they needed reinforcements. Because of that, they called reinforcements from England, and the English soldiers, they came, and as soon as they came, all the mutinies one by one were suppressed. After recapturing Delhi, soon they tried recapturing each and every region. All the battles, they were crushed. All the people, all the Nawabs who were there, they were also crushed. They were either killed or they were sent. No, all of them were almost killed. They died in the battle. Tatya Tope, he fled, and he initiated guerrilla warfare from, with the help of tribals. But soon after, he also was captured, and he was also murdered by the Britishers. But what did the Britishers do after recapturing Delhi? What did they do to, what did they try to improve? So to win back the loyalty of people, now they had this thing in mind that, okay, we are not going to survive in this land if we do not at least, recognize and comply with some of the rules of the Indians. We have to comply with some of the rules of the Indians. So they announced rewards for loyal landholders. So this is not after they have won. This battle, it went on for 2 years. They took 2 years to crush this kind of mutiny. So along with crushing their mutiny with the military power, they also announced some of the rewards to help them winning this war. How? They announced reward for the loyal landholders, that those landholders who would support the Britishers would get rewards. And they also assured safety for those who surrendered peacefully. So basically, those who were there in the mutiny, those who were rebelling, if they were thinking that, okay, they could not win this, they could come back and surrender, and they would not be, harmed. And of course, they would be they would be kept safely, and they would also not lose their inheritance right as well. Some of the people, they surrendered, but most of the people, they were killed. Most of the people who were captured by the Britishers, they were killed instantly. So that happened. The Britishers, of course, they tried to, bring these people loyalty back by some of the rewards, but that did not happen that easily. Of course, there were some people who complied to this, but not all the people.